Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another video for you guys. This is a video from Chuck, and it's going to be focusing on the character of Gohan, one of my absolute favorite characters in all of Dragon Ball, and why apparently in his opinion, according to the title, why Gohan hasn't become as bad as a lot of people think. Now I think this stems from a lot of people not liking the fact that the character of Gohan hasn't really played a prominent role in the Dragon Ball story in years. Right now, he's basically become another side character, and a lot of people are kind of worried that he's, like nowhere near as good as he was before. Personally, I don't agree, but let's just go ahead and play the video and see what Chuck has to say about this.
Dragon Ball Z is a series known for its intense battles, amazing visuals and soundtracks, and above all, for its iconic and complex characters. One of them being Son Gohan, the Earthling Saiyan hybrid son of Son Goku, who arguably has one of the most divisive fandoms due to the choices that he took in life despite his great potential and combat prowess. From being a typical infant, to being forced to grow up quickly in order to fight genocidal aliens, to eventually obtaining the legendary Super Saiyan state and ascending it, to arguably becoming the strongest non-fused character in the series that even a Super Saiyan 3 Goku was impressed by, Gohan has been through a lot of development and crucial points in his life which molded him into who he is today. A frequent criticism of Gohan is that even with his great potential that eclipses Saiyans and Earthlings alike, he decided to focus more on his studies and being more in touch with his Earthling nature than owning up to the implied responsibility of keeping up with his training and maintaining the peace of the Earth once Goku passed on in the battle against Cell. However, I would argue that Gohan is not wasted potential at all, and his reasoning for being so different from the rest of the cast is not only due to the duality of his roots, but also because of his experiences and what the author, Akira Toriyama, intended. So, is Gohan truly a character that was poorly handled and didn't live up to expectations? Or is he what he was intended to be or become in the first place? Well, let's go ahead and dive right in as I try to analyze and deconstruct this slander against my boy Gohan. Real quick, I'd like to give a huge thanks to Summoners War Sky Arena for sponsoring ya boy.
Sorry, I know this sponsorship is important to him, I get that, but I feel like you guys probably don't want to waste any time with this. Let's just go ahead. Okay, there
At
we
the
go.
age of 4, Gohan seemed to live a peaceful life until his alien uncle suddenly arrived, knocked out his dad, kidnapped him, and had the intentions of using him for the planetary conquest that the Saiyans were bred for. Even with little to no training, Gohan proved to be a powerful asset due to his ability to light up like a match and overpower opponents many times stronger than him, despite having a lowly power level that the villains underestimated numerous times. Gohan's early lifestyle was immediately turned upside down as his father sacrificed himself, and he was kidnapped once more in the same day by Goku's arch nemesis at the time, Piccolo. People usually bring up that Gohan was a whiny brat during the early parts of the series, and I mean, what did you expect? No. He's like 4 years old, and I don't know about you, but unless you're built different, I'd expect that majority of children at this age would cry and whine if they were kidnapped twice in one day by strangers, and one of their parents died with a huge hole in his chest. As he trained with Piccolo, Gohan, although still an infant, developed a more mature frame and came to respect his Namekian master, who he would form a close bond and fight alongside with for many years to come. In the process, even the wicked nature of Piccolo was subdued by Gohan to the point that he sacrificed himself in order to save his life against the Saiyan Steve Austin. From watching his father's friends die to nearly being trampled on to seeing his formerly dead father almost die again, Gohan went through a lot of trauma in just one day. Being in combat situations would have been far easier to cope with if Gohan was a pure-blooded Saiyan, but guess what? He wasn't, which is what people need to understand. Gohan was raised in a very different environment, as he didn't have to worry about an alien taking over his people or being sent off to fight on another planet at a young age. The Saiyans are, or well, were, thanks to Frieza, natural warriors, and as mentioned by Toriyama, the men and women rarely got together for a reason other than for baby making. But Gine and Bardock, Goku's parents, had a special thing going that went beyond the ordinary, and this sentiment was passed on to Goku, but was mostly reflected in Gohan. Once Gohan went to Namek with the end goal of reviving everyone who died on Earth, he encountered even more horrible experiences that only fueled his disdain and hatred for fighting, as he watched innocent Namekians being killed by Frieza's henchmen, to having his neck broken by Recoome, and watching his big brother Krillin being impaled by Frieza and later being blown up right in front of him. However, these moments of desperation and anger allowed Gohan to temporarily overpower Frieza, tap into his Saiyan roots, and surpass the power that his father obtained from training on his way to Namek. After the battle with Frieza, Gohan kept up with his studies while developing greater power in order to combat the androids that would come to wipe out humanity, and were one of the catalysts in the chaotic future timeline that the less fortunate Trunks and Gohan had to live in. In fact, due to the peaceful nature and environment that he was raised in, this allowed Gohan to obtain the Super Saiyan transformation far easier than his father or Vegeta. But I would like to point out that their triggers to transform were somewhat different. You see, Vegeta wanted to obtain Super Saiyan to become stronger and join the club, as his ego was shattered at the fact that he, the Prince of all Saiyans, hadn't unlocked the blonde hairdo that even low-class scum like Kakarot had obtained. Gohan, who also wanted to gain more power, didn't unlock the Super Saiyan state because of ego. It was because he was tired of feeling helpless, spoiled, and pampered, and not being able to properly defend himself or others, which is fair. However, I believe that he was judging himself way too harshly, because at the end of the day, he was forced to fight and grow up at a far younger age and at a quicker pace than Goku. Not to mention that his opponents were far stronger than the ones that Goku faced in his childhood.
Miles
Cell,
stronger.
the final boss of the android arc, who was a combination of Goku's previous foes and Goku himself, managed to defeat Piccolo, Vegeta, and Trunks. But instead of, just blowing everything up, his Saiyan cells urged him to test out his power for the love of battle. Perfect Cell was so powerful that even before Goku fought against him, he had already determined that he had no chance against him, and that the key to winning the Cell games was to train Gohan into obtaining the full-powered Super Saiyan state. As Gohan fought Cell, he mentioned that he hated fighting, even more than he hated him. Combat to him was pointless, and all he wanted to do was live a peaceful life. But the brutal reality that he had to fight for that peace is when his conflicting Saiyan and Earthling roots finally snapped and unearthed the bottled-up Saiyan nature that had been building up for years. Before Android 16 was crushed by Cell, he told Gohan that fighting for peace is not a crime and that he shouldn't be scared of his emotions, especially his anger. As his friends were being pummeled by Cell's smaller-scale minions, Gohan's helpless glance suddenly transformed into the arrogant, lightning-covered Super Saiyan 2 that a lot of people have come to love. And without hesitation, Gohan casually one-shotted the Cell Juniors and made Cell feel fear and desperation. The formerly superior Cell that slapped around Super Saiyans was easily kicked around by Gohan's spiky new form and almost killed him with a powerful Kamehameha that could have ended the fight right then and there. But Gohan's Saiyan nature took over as he wanted to make the creature suffer for all that he had done. Even as his father ordered him to end the battle ASAP due to Cell's unpredictability, which is ironic given that Goku tried the ball really hard against Frieza, Gohan looked at him with a cocky look and declared that, nah, the biomechanical soup of Cells had to get abused some more before he sent it to hell. Which, of course, ended up biting him in the ass as Cell became a ticking time bomb that would blow up the Earth, and this ultimately killed Goku as he teleported Cell to the afterlife to save the Earth. Gohan blamed himself for his father's death, but after he managed to defeat Cell in a beam clash that threatened to wipe out the entire star system, he was in the position of being the strongest Street Fighter and the greatest protector of the Earth at the time. Goku doesn't inherently push the duty on him, but he told Gohan that if he defeated Cell, that he could focus on his career and have fun on Earth.
Well,
Goku actually...
the thing I just have to say about this is I think he only said this back when he thought that Gohan was going to take care of him and they would all be fine. I don't think that he knew that he was necessarily going to die, which is why I think a lot of people are kind of upset that Gohan let himself go after, Cell was defeated, because he was the only one who could realistically protect the Earth because he was without a doubt the strongest. So basically the responsibility fell on him. And instead of, living up to that responsibility, he just decided to just not train at all, get a lot weaker over the years. And then eventually when Boo showed up, well, you all know what happened. I mean, I feel like Gohan only got lucky that, the series of events that ended up leading to Goku getting revived and becoming alive, coming back to Earth, and then he could, be the protector of the Earth again, and then Gohan could go on the train. But I just feel like, to me, it just felt a little out of character for me, for Gohan to. Again, I don't think anyone would have a problem with Gohan necessarily focusing on his studies, as long as he also balanced it out with him knowing that he still has a responsibility to keep the Earth safe, because that's where everyone that he cares about lives. And if anything were to happen, another threat were to show up, he would actually be ready for it. Instead, he just decided to, yeah. Oh, you guys know the story by now.
To stay dead, since he believed that his presence invited the challenge of bad guys, which did seem to be the case as Gohan lived for 7 peaceful years, unless you count the stress of school and the battle with Bojack and Broly in
really
another
canon.
timeline. In the movies, however, Goku does seem to push this duty on him because in the battle against Bojack, when virtually all of the Z fighters were defeated, Gohan gave up and had to be given a reality check by his father, calling him a pampered baby, and that he had to unleash his true power.
See, I also didn't like this.
The English dub and the original Japanese dialogue do have different tones.
I don't understand why this was even necessary.
More nice to Gohan, but in the Japanese one, he's more so like, yo, you need to stop being a and like fight and kill this dude like right now, bro. But what is consistent between both of them is that Goku makes Gohan realize that even if he doesn't want to fight, that he still had a duty to protect his family and friends. 7 years after the battle with Cell had passed in the main timeline, and Gohan was propped up in the Buu saga as potentially taking over the lead in the story as a protector of the Earth.
And
but
of course that ended up being
inherently superior interest to living peacefully and
ended up
becoming
going
a scholar,
nowhere.
he let go of this mantle of responsibility, which Goku and Vegeta had to reclaim. The very interesting part is that Toriyama actually mentioned in an interview that he did have the initial intent to make Gohan the lead character, but it didn't work out, and ultimately he believed that he was not suited to the part, which I'd actually agree with.
Well, okay, Chuck says he agrees. I actually disagree with that. I've always disagreed with that. I personally think that Gohan would have made a good lead. Now, granted, I'm not Toriyama, it's his story, so I guess we'll have to take his word for it, but personally, I didn't like the fact that Toriyama didn't really. I just wish he would have tried harder. That's all I'm trying to say. I just wish he would have tried harder with Gohan taking the lead role. Just try a little bit more, just for a few more chapters, because who knows? I mean, you already decided to make Gohan the lead, but then he changed your mind. Who knows? Maybe he would have changed his mind again and realized, you know what? Hey, I think that he really could take the lead role. Also, personally, I just want to talk about this for a second. A lot of people, there is this big misconception that's been going around the Dragon Ball fandom that apparently fans were pushing for Toriyama to put Goku back into the lead role, but that is actually not the case. Okay, Toriyama says it himself in the interview that he changed his mind. That's why he brought Goku back, okay? That's all it was. He changed his mind as an author. Okay, so if you see someone trying to push this misconception, just remind them that's not the case, okay? It was Toriyama, he just changed his mind. That's all it was. It's simple.
Ultimately, he believed that he was not suited to the part, which I'd actually agree with. Because Gohan's character didn't align with Goku's natural fondness of battle, which in turn helped move the plot forward in several places, especially in Dragon Ball Super, with the Super Saiyan God prophecy, the genocide of mortals at the hands of Zamasu, and the grand-scale multiversal tournament, which would only end up polishing Gohan's character even more. After letting the old Kai dance around him for a long while, Gohan unlocked the inner power that became buried by his earthling desires, and once again, in the process of beating the hell out of Super Buu, Gohan made the same mistake that he did against Cell by drawing the fight out and making Buu desperate enough to strategize and absorb Gotenks.
Dude, I hated
the
this.
tables on him.
I absolutely hated this.
With the revival of Frieza and Gohan being powerless to stop him, he mentioned to Goku that it actually opened his eyes and pushed him to start training with Piccolo again.
And it also led to nothing.
Responsibilities, and would carry on with it for his eventual return at the Tournament of Power. One of Gohan's pivotal moments is his training with Piccolo, as his master criticized that despite Gohan's great power, he became arrogant against Super Buu and Cell, which clearly backfired on him. He wanted to make it clear to him that he could not afford to let his guard down, and that he had to fight with the objective of defeating his enemy and not give them a chance to retaliate. He also pointed out that Gohan's overeagerness to protect everyone meant nothing if he didn't achieve his original fighting power and spirit. And this actually helped him achieve a power jump so great that allowed him to impress and rival Goku's godly power. Of course, Goku managed to defeat Gohan, but he smiled in approval of his son's power and said that their next step was to go even further together. Another moment of realization is when Gohan defeats Abuni, an opponent from Universe 10 who managed to push Gohan into unleashing his ultimate form. But right before Abuni's universe was erased by the Zenos, Gohan saw a picture of him and his family, which he showed sadness towards and likely thought back to his family in that moment. Gohan had to face the brutal reality that he had to defeat others in order to survive, even if they had families and children of their own. While Goku and Vegeta fought to save their universe, they still had other motives for participating in the tournament, such as surpassing their limits and showcasing just how powerful they really were to the other universes. In turn, Gohan proved to be a worthy adversary to Dispo, the speedster bunny from Universe 11, who he helped to eliminate alongside Frieza. He may not have defeated the final boss, Jiren, but that was not Gohan's narrative objective to begin with, as his objective was more so to assist his team as the leader and push them to victory using the massive extent of his power and strategy. Overall, he came to terms with his responsibilities and realized that he could not live the life of only a typical Earthling or a Saiyan and had to combine both aspects. If you have watched or read Bleach, you might know about Ichigo Kurosaki, who I'd say is somewhat similar to Gohan, as he is not only a hybrid himself, but because he fought for his friends above anything else. One of the conflicts that Ichigo had difficulty coming to terms with as the story developed was the fight for control between his human, hollow, and Quincy aspects. Ichigo primarily wanted to fight with control and believed that his non-human aspects were dangerous and not who he truly was. But as he faced death against Byakuya Kuchiki, a high-ranking nobleman, in order to save his friend Rukia, his hollow powers exploded and surfaced, allowing him to overwhelm the captain and close the gap between them, which ended up working out for him in the end, but at the cost of almost losing control over himself. Hollow Ichigo, the manifestation of his hollow spirit, told Ichigo that if he let his guard down and was close to death, that he would take over and try to ensure that he survived, whether or not his methods were unorthodox. He makes the analogy that they are a king and a horse, and at any moment, a horse could take over and make the king its steed. Ichigo eventually becomes more accepting of his hollified powers, but he made it a priority to remain in control and not become a hellish monster outright, which of course ended up happening against his battle with the edgelord Espada, Ulquiorra, as Ichigo's apparent death caused a bottled up and malicious hollow to surface and erase the threat to his waifu. The conflict against the overall strongest and quickest Espada ended with Ulquiorra turning into dust due to the Vastolorde slashing and blasting him with killing intent, which Ichigo remarked at the end that it was not how he wanted to win. In the process, like with Gohan's cockiness against Cell, causing his father to die, Ichigo heavily wounded his friend Uryu when he was out of control and ultimately lost sight of who he was. Although Ichigo feared his Vastolorde state, he realized that in order to defeat the seemingly omnipotent Quincy god, Yuha, he had to balance it out with his human and Quincy aspects and accept them as a part of him, instead of rejecting them. Okay, so back to Dragon Ball. As a contrast, Goku, although he does fight for his friends and will become serious when the moment arises, his main objective at the end of the day is to fight strong guys for the hell of it in order to test out his power and try to overcome himself. That's not to say that Goku doesn't fight to protect his friends or to avenge them, but if I were to say which of the two Saiyans fought more so for their loved ones and not for gaining more power and having fun, it would definitely be Gohan. Akira Toriyama himself even mentioned in an interview that Goku viewed his family more so like companions, which is not surprising given the apparent lack of closeness between the Saiyans, and since he didn't even know what the hell marriage was. Masako Nozawa, Goku's voice actress, said that one of the qualities that she really enjoys about Goku is that he was never really a family man and was not tied to a standard household model. Goku did eventually warm up to his family more, like when he took care of his granddaughter Pan, but he still holds fighting, training, and going his own way as more rewarding. In conclusion, I believe that Gohan is not wasted potential. If anything, I feel that he ended up becoming who he wanted to be, a man who cares about his family and education, but will step up to the plate if he really needs to, despite the fact that he might not enjoy fighting as much as the pure-blooded Saiyans. He is a character that encapsulates the internal conflict of two similar yet distinct races. One that mostly valued combat, and the other that mostly valued relationships and peace. Ultimately, Gohan became more accepting of his Saiyan potential and responsibility to keep up with his power, and so far, has kept it in balance with his earthling desires to build a family and pursue a peaceful life. Of course, topics such as these are open to interpretation, but I believe that the people who say that Gohan is wasted potential or became lame probably didn't pay much attention to his development or the conflicts that he had to overcome differently due to his mixed roots. Also, if I was forced to fight and train at the age of 4, watch a bunch of people die or become heavily wounded right in front of me, get kidnapped, get my neck broken, and get my ass beat numerous times by aliens to the point that I almost died, I don't know about you, but I probably wouldn't be as fond of fighting as other people.
Yeah, I
and
can
it is not
understand that.
surprising that Gohan didn't want to remain a combatant as he was growing up. But the fact that Gohan looked past this is in itself a great testament to his character, wouldn't you think? Anyways, fellas, please let me know what you think and if you would like to see more character analyses in the future. I hope that you enjoyed this breakdown, as Gohan is definitely an interesting character. Please be sure to check out and download Summoner's War, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you thoughties next time. Peace out, and thanks for watching.
Okay. Okay, so there we go. That's the video. And you know what? This is a very good video. And you know what? He does make some good points. I do think that people kind of over-exaggerate when they say that Gohan's become lame. I don't think I necessarily agree with that. But I think that I also do agree with a lot of the people who do point out the or people who share their criticism of, you know, they do kind of miss when the character of Gohan played a bit of a more prominent role in the story, whereas now it seems like he's just been relegated to a side character. And look, I understand Goku's the main character, Vegeta's been a sort of second main character, but that doesn't necessarily mean that other characters can also play prominent roles in the story. You know, right now it feels like the only reason why they're even there is because they know that, you know, there are some people who are going to like it, and so let's just throw them a bone. Now, I'm going to end this video right here, guys. Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section down below. Remember, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And also, before I end the video, I have to ask you guys, if you want if you want to help support this channel, please consider subscribing. I know that a lot of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you want to change that, click the subscribe button, because you will help me get to 1,000 subs, which is what I need in order to monetize this channel, because I already got the watch time. Thanks to you guys for watching these videos. Thanks to your support, I got the watch time, but now I need the sub. So if you want to help me with that, just click on that subscribe button, help me get to 1,000, and it'll seriously help support my channel. So thank you so much again. Remember to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and bye for now.